All right, we are live. This is Proof of Podcast, episode 3, and this is Edward Weniger and Kyle Tutt, and this is our bi-weekly, approximately, attempt to connect everybody in the Midwest, all the crypto communities on Facebook and Meetup.com and conferences and events, kind of consolidate everything in one place. And we don't have a guest this time, but we hope to. Next time we should have somebody scheduled. There was a little snafu on the scheduling, but we will probably have Ian Dixon on from currently in Boulder, Colorado, formerly from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, to chat with us. So if you'd like to be on the program, reach out to us. I think it's info at proofofpodcast.com. And we'll give people a couple more minutes to get into the live stream. Kyle, so welcome. And we could talk about, it's a couple days old now, but the big acquisition of Poloniex by
Circle.
While we're waiting, we can chat about that.
Yeah, and Goldman Sachs was a part of that deal, or is a big backer of Circle. So it's pretty interesting that they're making the moves into crypto now. So
yeah, I mean, there were two banks that just released like their annual reports or something, and somebody was saying they're like hidden in the 300 pages. There's references to how crypto is going to disrupt their business model.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen slides where it said that they believe there's going to be fiat currencies, large fiat currencies, as cryptocurrencies in 5 years. So, I mean, it's coming fast. Or like the banks and the payment processors are looking at it, and they're projecting that it's going to affect their business. So,
probably the most obvious, or the Petro this last week or two has been probably the closest we've seen to that so far, and unless you talk about like Estonia or something like that.
Yep. And I think what's interesting about the Circle deal is like Circle was a first mover in the kind of crypto space, and then they kind of fell behind. And this is them catching back up, I guess. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go and get started then. You were gone for, well, we had a few things going on that we need to talk about, but we lost an entire week basically because of some drama in the state capitol.
Yep.
We had, for those that don't know, we had 4 bills essentially, all made it through different levels of legislation here in Nebraska, and so I created a website. It's nebraska.bitlicense.us, and the goal is that would be a platform that we can potentially use in the future as other states start to look at or examine tokens and smart contracts and currency. And so go ahead and give us a. So yeah, we went down there one day. We went down there another day for more bills, and then we went down there couple weeks after that to do another session with the senators and educate them. So give us your recap of what.
Yeah, so the first one was LB 987, put forth by Paul Schumacher. I never remember his name, but he's a senator out of Columbus, and basically it was the bill that Coin Center actually wrote. And it was all about public-private keys. And if you hold private keys, if you hold a consumer's private keys, it would consider you a money transmitter, which isn't necessarily terrible, except there are instances right now where you could hold private keys and you're not moving money. So there's some barriers and maybe some getting down into specifics where that bill needs to be changed a little bit. And again, I went against all these bills based on we don't know what it could do in the future, much like BitLicense. Even if they're well-intentioned, if they're not technically sound, then it can get a little iffy. And then Carol Blood created or had 3 bills called LB 691, which was about money laundering. and she ended up withdrawing her support of that one, which was good. LB 694, which is you can't regulate or tax crypto or blockchain if you are a city, village, or county. So good for the tax people, at least at the local level. And then LB 695 is giving legal enforceability to smart contracts, which I personally fully support. I just had issues with how some of the technical terms inside of that was defined, and think they probably need to be better, just because, again, we don't know. A misplaced comma can totally change the meaning of a bill. So we got to be very, very careful when we're writing these laws. And then, as you said, we came back and did a briefing with the banking committee, and had a bunch of senators in there, and went through blockchain 101. I talked about smart contracts and tokens. You talked about Bitcoin and what you're doing with your machines. And then Ansel also talked about Bitcoin. So it was a really healthy dialogue.
I didn't go back for the 694. Did you hear anything about that?
I didn't go to that one because that one, it wouldn't affect anything I'm doing. So I just let it be and didn't want to cause drama if I didn't need to. So
I didn't know if you looked up whether it moved forward or not from the committee or not. So
no, I didn't.
All right. And then your shirt, the shirt that you're wearing.
Oh yeah, ETHDenver.
You were there. Go ahead and tell us about how that was.
Yeah, so ETHDenver had like 1,200 or 1,500 people there. It was a 36-hour event starting Friday morning and going all the way to Sunday. And it was a hackathon and conference. The conference had great content put on. There was 2 rooms going at the same time, so you kind of had to pick and choose which one you wanted to be in. And then the hackathon itself had, I think it was over 600 people competing in it. And you had 4 people on a team and basically 36 hours to build stuff. And there was a lot of cool things. One of my favorite teams was called Key Split, I believe. And they basically sharded your keys into a maximum of 5. You could then give 1 key to your mom, 1 key to your significant other, and maybe a key to a bank and whoever else. And they don't have to know that they have the keys. And that's kind of how you can protect yourself. And as long as you can recover 3, you can unlock your address. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I was listening to Jackson Palmer from Dogecoin the other day, and he was talking about how his manual hack of that is to generate the words, right? Generate a phrase, and then split that into 3 parts, and then give that to each person. And then one of them was your lawyer, and then if something happens to you, they can get together and put your phrase together.
Yep.
Funds out. So, but yeah, having an automated system or something that's technology based would be nice instead of just doing it on your own. So
yeah, for sure.
And then he was also talking about how token curated registries are quite
that's what it's
not boring, but very industry specific.
So we got into that. We built our own design, and we called it the forecasted elastic allocation token, because we saw some design issues that we didn't like in token curated registries and also curation markets. But the biggest problem, not getting into like the use cases of them or not, is it's interesting trying to build stuff when the only information out there is like 6 Medium posts by Simon De La, I can't say his full name, but and then Mike Galden are like the only 2 thought leaders in the space. And so it was very interesting trying to like come up with terms and decide, what exactly are we building, because there is no framework. And I mean, the good thing about that is you can build whatever you want to build and take it wherever you want to take it. But at the same time, it's kind of abstract and difficult to communicate between people. So
why can't we just call it a list?
See, ours isn't a list. That's we make it a little bit different, but it just kind of depends on curation markets are a little bit different than TCRs, and then ours is a little bit different. We don't really necessarily care about lists. You can use it to curate lists, but it's actually more about, are you good at choosing, we call them proposals in our system. Are you good at choosing those proposals and adding value to the system? So we're curating curators, if that makes sense, curators squared. And how do you incentivize them, or incentivize the system, not necessarily the curators, the system to operate well and make sure that they're providing value, or picking the right proposals in the system to provide value to whatever it is. It could be something from like a science research project to should we hold this meme on our IPFS node, right? It just kind of depends on what application.
Well, I think he used the analogy of Yelp. So aren't you the guy that puts the stars next to the reviewers on Yelp, basically?
We wouldn't put the stars. That would actually just be kind of figured out by the market. We kind of rolled TCRs, curation markets, and prediction markets all into this little bonding curve that we use. And the market's going to decide whether or not that feat is actually providing value or not. So it's kind of pretty market driven, and people are going to decide for themselves whether or not they want to put money in it or not.
Well, the market will, but aren't you the one that creates the structure that determines who gets to put the star, or who gets the stars, basically?
So we don't put any stars, but we think we're going to have to set the bonding curve, which could be kind of considered stars. Is, some systems might work better with our bonding curve, and other systems might not. So we're just going to have to kind of play around with that and discover how it works. So
this is the problem with TCRs. They're really geeky, so we need we'll move on.
Exactly.
So let's see here. Let's go ahead and go through, run through our list. I think I've got all the events here from the states that around us, and we can go. They're alphabetical, so nobody gets their feelings hurt. And we'll go through this. Let's alternate. I'll start with Colorado, and then we can go through by state. If you'd like to be on the list, though, we want people to have their events published. We'll check in every once in a while with you before we go live on the air, and then we'd really like to be able to promote you to get the word out to the folks in your region that you're doing something. So that's what we want to do. So just reach out to us if you want to get on this list. So the first one is Colorado, and their Boulder blockchain has almost 800 people now. So it's like the biggest I've seen besides Israel, basically. And then they have two events coming up. The 0x15, that's their naming scheme, is 0x. So 0x15 is on March 15th at 5:30 to 7 at Boulder Bits, and then 0x16 is on March 28th. 5:30 to 7 at Boulder Bits as well. And then they have the Slack channel that I'm actually not in, I don't think, but that's 24/7. Obviously, they hop into their Slack channel if you have a question or want to talk with somebody. So
is Boulder blockchain underneath Colorado blockchain Slack, or?
So the only one I know of or have looked at is Boulder blockchain. So I will look at Colorado for next time and see if that's separate.
Okay, I know Colorado blockchain. I think they were trying to condense all of the Slack channels, and I don't know how concerted of an effort it is across the meetups and whatnot, but I think they tried to consolidate under one Slack channel.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Going to Iowa, they have a Slack chat at dsmblockchain.slack.com. Don't have any info on if they have an event or not. But then Des Moines Bitcoin and Blockchain meetup, they have something March 22nd from 7 to 8:30. And they also have a monthly blockchain and crypto asset meetup at, what is that word again? Gravitat?
No, gravitate.
Gravitate. I'm trying to make it like French or something. I don't know. And then, yeah, and then the meetup.com is Des Moines Bitcoin Blockchain Group.
So so we'll have all the links in the comments on the video, but they have a Skype channel that they kept getting these Russian bots would like hop into the channel and like post some random links, I'm sure infected or whatever, and then they would hop out. And so
Yeah.
they moved to Slack finally, and they talk on there once a week. Like when I was in the Skype, or they have like my phone would randomly ring in the evenings, or my computer would randomly ring in the evenings, and I'd be like, "What the heck's going on?" And then
yeah,
it was them making their weekly calls to everybody. So, all right. So Kansas has an event actually tonight. This is the hardware wallet unboxing, which should be cool. I don't know if they're doing, I don't know, with Trezor Ledger or what, but so if you can make it out tonight to, I don't even have it listed, but we'll have the meetup link in the description, and you can find out where it's at there.
Cool. And then for Minnesota, we have the Blockchain Professionals meetup. They have nothing scheduled yet. And then also the Ethereum Minnesota meetup page. They have nothing scheduled as well.
So they need to get something on the calendar so we can promote it.
Start moving.
Yeah. So in Nebraska, we have our blockchain development group, and go ahead and tell folks what March's meetup is going to be.
Yeah. So on March, I believe it's the 22nd, the Next Society, which is kind of this little event put on trying to push new technologies in Omaha, is going to have focus on cryptocurrency and blockchain. And I believe it's from 7 to like 9 or something like that. And basically it's just going to be going through, there's going to be stations where you can learn more about cryptocurrencies and blockchain. There's drinks and food. You have to go to, I think, the Startup Collaborative. You can go there and sign up to be a part of it. And then there's going to be some cool other things happening during the event to help people understand what cryptocurrencies are, what blockchain is, what smart contracts are, all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I don't know if they're it's supposed to be this underground thing, so I don't know if it's like a secret location or if they're publicizing.
Yeah, right now the location always changes, and it's usually in like these older buildings that are not abandoned, but certainly not used at the moment. And so that'll come closer as we get closer to the event.
All right. And then we also have the weekly Bitcoin meetup, which Ansel runs. I believe they meet at Fox and Hound on Sunday right now. We have the Block-a-thon in Lincoln. That's April 13th. And so we, similar to ETHDenver, we're going to have a weekend of, you said 36 hours though. Is it really a day and a half?
Yeah. I mean, the conference started at like 8 a.m. Friday morning, and then the hackathon started at 10 p.m. That Friday, and then went all the way through. If you could do it, you could go all the way through to Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. or whenever they announce the winners.
Did anybody really stay up that whole time?
I hope not. Usually what our strategy at these things is Friday night, we go home, go to bed, and then we work through Saturday night into Sunday without sleeping.
All right. So Block-a-thon is block-a-thon.com, and this is the first Block-a-thon Midwest. It will start Friday morning, so there's no conference in conjunction with it. It'll just be Friday morning all the way through Sunday afternoon, and then we'll have pitches and announcements and cocktails and such, or awards, and cocktails. And that's April 13th. And then Bitcoin Day Omaha is bitcoindayomaha.com. That's April 21st, and that's the Marriott here in Omaha. And then the Lincoln Bitcoin meetup, I don't think they have anything in March yet. So, but they're pretty regular usually. A lot of these folks that we're talking about usually, up until the end of February, they had something going on, and then nobody's really doing anything in March for whatever reasons.
Yeah, then the price crash and everybody loses interest, and it becomes a lot harder at the downturn.
Yep, time to buy.
Yep.
And then go ahead, North Dakota.
North Dakota has the North Dakota Blockchain Group. They have nothing scheduled. But then Fargo also has a Facebook group called Bitcoin Fargo. They also have nothing scheduled. But
yeah.
you put a machine in, right?
Yeah, so a couple weeks back, we put the first public, I would say public because there's one up in like at one of the universities or something, or somebody had one in their office once before. So we had the first public Bitcoin ATM in Fargo now that we launched about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So yeah, it's doing okay. Getting the word out. It's like I think it's the most viral Facebook post I've ever made because everybody's talking about it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then South Dakota has Midwest Crypto. That was, I think, started or run or Ian Dixon, who we talked about. So we hope to talk. The goal the agenda right now is to talk about proof of work versus proof of stake with Ian because he has some strong opinions on that. So maybe the topic will change as we get closer. But
is he a proof of work guy?
No, he's a proof of stake guy.
Is he? Oh man, I can agree with him then. I have nothing against proof of work, I guess, but I just think proof of stake is a little bit obviously more efficient and healthier for the planet. But then there's security issues and all that. So
I'm a proof of work guy, so we'll have to. So yeah, you guys can gang up on me.
Yeah, that's right.
So Midwest Crypto does not have anything scheduled yet, but yeah, so we'll hopefully have Ian on or somebody else. If not him, this next time we'll have somebody else exciting to chat with. And thank you all for tuning in. Our sponsors, I almost forgot. So Linkstream in Omaha is a sponsor. They helped us out with setting up the audio and the podcast room. And then Jim Collison at Gallup also helped with some of the audio visual and getting us launched. And I'm actually going to be on his podcast, the Home Gadget Geeks, in a few weeks here. So hopefully we can get some of the Home Gadget Geeks listeners to come over and start subscribing to us, which the red button and the bell, please click. Make sure you do both. And I hate it when
you're a subscriber shill.
Yeah, bugs me when other podcasters do that, but now I'm doing it. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Kyle. Let's say goodbye, and we'll